All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us His truth and who also were well. Peace and salutation of those of the hopeful elect. Just want to do a quick lesson. All right, going into prophecy. All right, you got Apple. You know, they're opting to start developing brain implants, all right, which they've been, developing this thing for a while, but they just announced, pretty much to the public, meaning, eventually they're going to try to make this thing speaking of the brain implant, they're going to try to mainstream this thing, okay, especially, Apple getting behind it. All right, so this article was posted up 3 hours ago. It says Apple probes next frontier with new brain implant standard. Okay, so pretty much, they're developing, an implant so you can control your iPad, your iPhone, the Apple. They have the VR headset and this and that. So, Apple, that's the direction they're going, which the direction that they're going is prophecy. This is all, leading, to the hour of temptation. Okay. Which will be the implementation of the M.O.T.B, which will be the subdermal device that will go into people's body, as well as the implant that will go into people's lob, their minds, their brains. Okay. So pretty much we're seeing prophecy unfold. All right. Things are moving forward. Let me get a quick precept. All right. This is Habakkuk 2. And I'm going to start at 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower and will watch to see what he will say unto me and what I shall answer when I am reproved. So the Lord established his watchmen. Okay. And Yahweh Shema Shai gave us the vision, which is the understanding of what's written, the understanding of the prophecies. Okay. Which is a mystery unto the world. But the Lord revealed those secrets unto his servants, the prophets. Okay, so now we have these prophecies, and now it's our job to watch for the prophecies to come to pass. All right, and the different events that's taking place, we can see the trajectory of everything, the trajectory, of, them developing these different neural implants and developing the subdermal device. That's the trajectory is for prophecy to be fulfilled. Okay. It says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. Okay. And the scriptures are written. And now we're here in this day and age. Okay. The men of the Lord, the prophets are back to break down what's written. Okay. And make it even more plain for the times that we're in now. Okay. That he may run that readeth it. Speaking of those that are actually going to take heed to the prophecy, take heed to the warnings. Okay. And in this time, the elect are the only ones that are going to take heed, the elect of Israel. So it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Okay. So now we're in that appointed time. Okay. Before Esau, Edom, he didn't have the technology. All right. Esau, he always wanted to have, a control over everybody, especially their minds. All right. But, Esau, he hasn't developed the technology, before all the way up until now. OK, that technology hasn't been developed yet until now. OK, now he has the technology, to try to have everybody, controlled, which going into, in the ancient world, you had cattle. And then you would put an awl, you would clip the cattle. OK, you would make an incision, I believe, on the ear, if I'm not mistaken, to for others to know that that cow belonged to its owner. Okay, now Esau's trying to do that, with people, and people are the cattle. And Esau wants to implant that subdermal device in people, as a badge, to let, pretty much Esau's letting the Most High know that these people belong to me. All right. But the Lord is not going to allow him to, see hip the elect. All right. The elect are not going to receive none of these devices, which will ultimately defile you. Okay. And there is no repentance for those that receive the M.O.T.B. Okay. And those that worship the image of the beast, meaning, they worship the philosophies of this world. And the main philosophies that's being pushed is that transhumanism. Okay. And the Lord warned us that these things were going to take place. All right. And the Lord told us not to, not to receive these devices. OK, so I'm going to continue to read. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. So right now, this is the time. This is the time where Esau has that technology. All right. So it's the appointed time. OK, and now the prophecy is actually speaking now. It says, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So at one point it felt like, the prophecies were afar off. That's what it felt like. All right. But now we're in a time where, these things are actually right here in our face. We're in a time where prophecy is actually mainstream. OK, here it is. They're talking about martial law in the news. They're talking, Apple, these big mainstream companies are getting behind developing a brain implant. OK, they want to make it accessible to the public. All right. So now we're in a time where it's no longer, tearing. OK. So I'm going to continue to read verse 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him. And, this is going into Esau, Edom. OK, the spirit that's in Esau is not upright. And that's why Esau has a kingdom, but it's completely established on Satanism. OK, and this kingdom directly goes against the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai. OK, and Esau, he knows the ways of the Lord because he has the Bible. OK, but he deliberately does the opposite. OK, in challenging the Heavenly Father, the Lord is going to destroy this man and take him out of his rulership. All right. But while Esau, Edom is still in power, he's going to try to do whatever he can to try to hold on to it. All right. That's why I'm going to continue to read. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. All right. Because ultimately the just is going to escape the snare of the fowler, like it says in Psalms 91. All right. The just is going to escape the M.O.T.B. and the persecution. All right, that Esau is going to try to come down upon those that believe in Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai are the ones that are going to protect the elect. All right, from anything that's going to defile them. All right, chiefly the M.O.T.B. Okay. This is Revelation chapter 3 and 10. It says, because thou. All right, speaking of the elect. All right, and this is red letter. So this is showing you that Yahweh Shai, he's in control. All right, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, meaning suffering. All right, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. So the Lord Yahweh Shai said he was going to keep us from the hour of temptation. All right, because, the NWO, that's a global thing. All right, and Esau, he wants to try to control the earth in a new way. He wants to try to, revamp, the monetary system. All right. And that's why all these nations are opting to go digital. All right. Because the elites is guiding these nations into the NWO. OK, so, this temptation is going to come upon the whole world. Everybody's going to be faced. All right, with the decision to receive the M.O.T.B., no matter where you are. It doesn't have to be in America. All right. But, the elect is also scattered around the world. The Lord is going to keep them from the hour of temptation as well. All right. So Revelations 3:10, it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon earth. Okay. Now where try goes into test. All right. The interlinear for the word try, it says to try them, to try whether a thing can be done, to attempt, to try, make trial of, test. Okay. For the purpose of ascertaining his quality or what he thinks or how he will behave himself. So the Lord is testing the world to see, their qualities. All right. And the only ones that's going to pass, all right, is the elect. Okay. And, 2/3 are going to be tested. The world's going to be tested. The world's going to fail. All right. Let's see. There's a little bit more. It says in a good sense. Then it says in a bad sense to test one maliciously, craftily, to put to the proof his feelings and judgments. All right. And these people, they worship the image of the beast. So when these things are going to be brought before them, all right, they're going to willingly take it, which shows their intent, their malicious intent. All right, that they're married unto this wicked world. All right, 2/3 of Israel, all right, that want to continue to be niggas. They want to continue to be black. All right, they want to continue to be Mexican. All right, and so on and so forth. They want to continue to be what Esau, Edom told them they were. All right, they're gonna trust in Esau's system. All right, and it's going to be to their detriment. They're going to fail that test. Okay, but Yahushua said he will keep the elect from the hour of temptation. All right, I'll continue to read Revelations 3:11. It says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. All right, and that's talking about this truth, this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, the Lord said, hold fast to it. Okay, which instruction is contained within this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. All right, the Lord has given us wise instructions. All right, and that main thing is not to receive the M.O.T.B, man. All right, to refuse it at all costs, even if our life, even if we have to give our life for it. Okay, because in the end, the Lord will reward us. All right, and give us a righteous reward, for those that have striven unto death, striven against sin. So either way, it's a win-win situation. All right, but nevertheless, we're in that time where Esau, Edom is pushing the M.O.T.B, and we're pretty much about to see, prophecy, fully be fulfilled. All right, because the military is the main one that's going to be, administering that chip unto people. All right, and we see Esau, he's militarizing the police. They're getting ready, to have major events take place so they can have an excuse, that order out of chaos. All right. So look for another major event, another major plague, all right, that Esau is going to release, the collapse of the society, financially. All right. Esau, he's going to pull the plug on this whole system and try to revamp it. All right. So that's the time we're in, man. All right. But the Lord said he was going to keep his elect from that hour of temptation, man. So Lord's will, this lesson is edifying. I want to say, call all Yahweh Shema Shai, Bashim Kakodash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us this truth and who also were well. Peace and salutation to those that are hopeful elect. Shalom and a ball.